If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge, and when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the book. Chapter 1. Finding Your Voice. Part 1. The First Step on Stage. That moment arrives. The stage lights hit your face. Every eye in the room turns towards you. Your heart pounds like a drum against your ribs, your palms feel damp, and a familiar wave of panic rises. This feeling, this intense rush of nerves before speaking publicly, is incredibly common. It doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. Think of it as your body preparing for something important. The good news? Countless successful speakers, from famous leaders to renowned performers, have stood exactly where you are now, feeling exactly what you feel. They learned to work with their nerves, not against them, and you absolutely can too. This part will show you practical ways to manage those initial jitters and take that crucial first step onto the stage, transforming fear into focused energy. What physical sensations do you usually notice when nervous about speaking? Imagine Leo, a software engineer asked to present his team's project. Days before, his mind raced with worries. What if I forget everything? What if they think I'm boring? His stomach churned. This physical reaction is normal. When we perceive a threat, like judgment, our body releases adrenaline, the same hormone that helped our ancestors escape danger. Your racing heart? It's sending more oxygen. Sweaty palms? An old cooling mechanism. Understanding this helps. It's not weakness, it's biology. Even icons faced this. Before legendary talks, many experienced speakers report intense nerves. The key isn't eliminating the feeling, but managing its impact so it doesn't control you. How often have you mistaken this adrenaline rush for pure fear? Simple, proven techniques can make a world of difference right now. Start with your breath. When anxious, breathing often becomes shallow. Try this. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, feeling your belly expand. Hold gently for 2. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat this cycle 3 to 5 times. Maya, a teacher terrified of parent conferences, used this before each meeting. She found it calmed her mind almost instantly. Visualization is another powerful tool. Close your eyes and vividly picture yourself succeeding. See yourself walking confidently to the front of the room, hear your voice sounding clear, feel the audience responding positively. Picture the relief and satisfaction after you finish well. Athletes use this. Speakers can too. What positive outcome could you visualize for your next speaking moment? Your internal dialogue matters immensely. Replace fearful thoughts like, "I'll mess up," with factual, helpful statements. "I am prepared. I know my topic. The audience wants me to succeed." This isn't fake positivity, it's directing your focus. Ben, starting his first podcast recording, felt paralyzed. He started saying aloud, "I have valuable insights to share," before hitting record. It shifted his energy. Remember, feeling nervous doesn't mean you look nervous. Audiences rarely perceive our internal turmoil as intensely as we feel it. Sharing a small sign of nerves can even build connection. Admitting, "I'm a bit excited to be here," feels authentic. Vulnerability, showing you're human, builds trust far more than pretending to be perfectly polished ever could. When have you seen a speaker's genuine moment actually make you like them more? Taking small, manageable steps builds real confidence. Don't start with a keynote for thousands. Practice in low-pressure settings. Offer a brief toast at a friend's dinner. Share an idea in a small team meeting. Volunteer to introduce a speaker at a club. Each time you do this, you prove to yourself you can handle it. It chips away at the fear. The act of simply stepping forward despite the nerves is the most significant part. That first step onto the stage, virtual or real, changes everything. It moves you from imagining the fear to experiencing the reality that you can do it. This builds the foundation for finding the unique story only you can tell. Part 2. Your story matters. Every speaker stands on a stage with something irreplaceable, their life experiences. Think about Elena, who shared how a failed bakery business taught her about resilience. Her simple story about burnt muffins connected more powerfully than any business theory. Your journey holds similar power. What seems ordinary to you could spark transformation for someone else. This part shows how to uncover those hidden gems in your past and shape them into stories that move audiences. You'll learn practical methods to identify turning points, frame them effectively, and share them with authenticity that builds instant trust. Start by looking at moments that changed your perspective. Ben, a nurse, once discussed a routine shift where a patient's unexpected gratitude shifted his entire approach to care. He didn't describe a dramatic rescue, just a quiet conversation over spilled water. Ask yourself, when did a small moment alter your outlook? These turning points form storytelling gold. Record them in a memory journal. Brief notes about times you felt joy, frustration, or clarity. Revisit these monthly. Patterns emerge, perhaps themes of perseverance or curiosity, revealing your unique lens. Structure transforms anecdotes into impact. Use the peak dip lift method. 1. Peak, set the scene vividly. I celebrated landing my dream job. 2. Introduce conflict. Then my manager handed me an impossible deadline. Lift, show resolution and insight. I asked colleagues for help, learning teamwork beats talent. Priya used this when discussing career transitions. Her story about panicking over a coding error lasted 90 seconds but made her talk unforgettable. How could you apply this to a recent challenge? Vulnerability is your bridge to the audience. Studies show listeners connect deeply when speakers share genuine struggles, not just triumphs. A tech CEO discussing his early failures garnered more engagement than his product demo. But share strategically. Reveal emotions. I felt terrified, rather than private details. Ask, what fear have you overcome that others might relate to? Even mundane stories resonate when tied to universal truths. A teacher described her struggle to wake up early for class, linking it to discipline. Her relatable honesty made the message stick. Remember, audiences forget data, but remember how you made them feel. What everyday experience taught you a lasting lesson. As you prepare for the next stage, speaking with raw authenticity, consider this. Your voice gains power not from perfection, but from the lived wisdom only you possess. Part 3. Speaking from the heart. Consider this. What if the key to captivating an audience isn't flawless technique, but raw honesty? When you speak from your core, sharing genuine passion rather than rehearsed perfection, something remarkable happens. Listeners lean in. They see themselves in your words. This section reveals how authenticity creates powerful connections that polished performances often miss. You'll discover practical ways to channel your true feelings into your message, transform nervous energy into compelling presence, and turn perceived weaknesses into relatable strengths. Let's explore how showing your human side makes people remember not just your talk, but you. Think about Zara, an engineer asked to present a new recycling system. Her first attempts were stiff, filled with technical terms. Audiences nodded politely, but forgot her points. Then she recalled seeing plastic waste choke her hometown river as a child. When she described that memory, her voice cracking, the room fell silent. This isn't just about machinery, she admitted. It's about saving places we love. Instantly, her data gained meaning. People approached her afterward, sharing their own stories. Her passion made facts memorable. When have you held back an emotional truth that could bring your topic to life? Many fear judgment if they reveal too much. What if they think I'm unprofessional, wonders Ben, a financial advisor. He used complex charts to discuss retirement planning until a client confessed confusion. Ben then shared his own early money mistakes, how he once nearly bankrupted his bakery business. That vulnerability built instant trust. Clients now ask deeper questions because they see him as human, not just an expert. Imperfections like a shaky hand or an awkward pause often signal sincerity, not incompetence. What personal experience have you avoided sharing that might actually help others? Practical steps make authenticity accessible. First, identify topics that ignite your genuine excitement, not what you should discuss. Second, structure talks around personal turning points. Instead of lecturing about teamwork, describe how Annika's project failed until she swallowed pride and asked colleagues for help. Third, reframe nervousness as caring, your body's energy preparing you to share something important. During practice, focus on reconnecting with your core message whenever anxiety hits. Ask yourself, why must this idea reach these people? That purpose often overrides fear. Notice how authenticity transforms relationships. Before embracing vulnerability, Kaito gave scripted sales pitches that clients politely endured. After sharing his immigrant parents' sacrifices when starting their shop, prospects began sharing their own dreams. His conversion rate tripled because he built emotional bridges. Your audience doesn't expect perfection. They seek connection. A stumble or moment of silence invites them into your humanity. As we move toward building unshakable confidence, remember this truth. The most magnetic speakers don't hide behind expertise. They let their hearts be seen. What one authentic story could you start telling today? Part 4. The Power of Belief. Confidence begins when you trust that your voice has value. Think back to a moment you hesitated before speaking up, only to regret staying silent later. That gap between thought and expression is where doubt grows. This section gives you practical tools to bridge that gap permanently. You'll discover how to transform self-criticism into constructive energy, set achievable speaking goals, and treat yourself with kindness during the learning process. These aren't abstract theories. They're proven methods used by accomplished speakers who once trembled at the microphone. By the end, you'll have a clear path to developing genuine belief in your ability to communicate effectively. Consider how Priya shifted her perspective before team meetings. She used to think, "They'll see I'm underqualified," which made her voice shake. She began replacing that with, "I've prepared thoroughly and can contribute." Within weeks, her manager noted her increased participation. What negative thought about your speaking abilities holds you back? How might rewriting that script change your next presentation? Small victories build unshakable confidence. Take Omar, who dreaded networking events. He started by setting tiny goals. "Today I'll introduce myself to one person." After each success, he'd mentally note what went well. Maybe he maintained eye contact or asked a thoughtful question. These brief acknowledgments rewired his brain to associate speaking with achievement rather than fear. Recording these wins in a journal amplifies their impact. What's one small speaking challenge you could tackle this week? Real progress comes from embracing growth, not demanding perfection. Research shows that viewing mistakes as learning opportunities accelerates skill development. When Lena botched a client pitch, she resisted self-blame. Instead, she reviewed the recording to identify one improvement area, perhaps pacing, then practiced that specific skill for her next talk. This targeted approach yielded faster results than generic do-better intentions. After stumbling, do you criticize yourself or analyze constructively? Inspiration often comes from those who've walked this path before. When Ben learned his favorite podcast host once vomited from stage fright, it changed his outlook. He began studying how various communicators transformed their fears, not just celebrities, but local community leaders too. One teacher who overcame a stutter became Ben's mentor, showing him practical coping strategies. Who in your life exemplifies the communicator you aspire to become? Self-compassion proves crucial during setbacks. Studies reveal that speakers who treat themselves kindly after mistakes recover faster and perform better long-term. Picture Alara finishing a presentation with mixed results. Instead of thinking I failed, she reflected, "That opening story connected well, though I rushed the conclusion. Next time I'll practice transitions more." This balanced self-talk maintained her motivation. How might gentler internal dialogue change your speaking journey? Goal setting works best when it's concrete and incremental. Rather than become a great presenter, try share one personal story in tomorrow's meeting, or pause for 3 breaths before answering questions. These measurable actions create momentum. Rajiv used this approach to prepare for his first conference talk. He broke preparation into 15-minute daily blocks over 2 months, making a daunting task manageable. What specific achievable speaking goal could you set today? Your belief in your message determines how others receive it. When you genuinely trust that your perspective matters, audiences sense that conviction. This inner assurance transforms nervous energy into compelling presence. Start applying these tools now. Reframe one negative thought, acknowledge one small win, set one realistic goal. With consistent practice, you'll discover that confidence isn't about eliminating fear, but about knowing your voice deserves to be heard regardless. Chapter 2. Crafting Your Message. Part 1. The Spark of an Idea. The right topic can turn an ordinary talk into something unforgettable. This section shows how to find ideas that excite you and connect deeply with listeners. You'll learn practical methods to uncover what matters to you and your audience. We'll explore simple brainstorming tools, ways to focus broad thoughts, and how to ensure your subject aligns with your speaking goals. The result? A message that sparks energy in the room from your first word. Finding a topic starts with what you love. Leo, an accountant, dreaded speaking until he discussed fraud prevention, a subject he knew inside out. His genuine interest made his delivery passionate. What subject could you talk about for hours without notes? Jot down everything you care about, even if it seems unrelated. Free writing helps here. Set a timer for 5 minutes and write non-stop about your interests. Don't filter ideas yet. Next, consider your audience. Who are they? What keeps them up at night? Lena planned a talk for busy parents. She asked event organizers about their struggles. Time management and guilt topped the list. She combined this with her expertise in mindfulness, focusing on calm moments in chaotic days. Her talk resonated because it addressed real needs. What problem does your audience face that you can help solve? Originality doesn't mean inventing something new. It's about your unique perspective. Take Omar, a chef. Instead of another cooking tips talk, he shared how burnt dishes taught him resilience, linking kitchen failures to workplace setbacks. His angle felt fresh because it was personal. Ask yourself, what common topic can I view through my life lens? Refine broad ideas into sharp messages. Start with a big theme, like health. Too vague? Narrow it step by step. Kira transformed health into how 10-minute walks boost creativity based on her design career. Test your focus with this question. Can I explain my topic in one clear sentence? If not, keep refining. Your topic must serve your purpose. Are you informing, inspiring, or calling for action? Ben's goal was to motivate volunteers. He chose small efforts, big impacts over general charity stats, leading to a 40% sign-up increase. How will your topic move people? Common pitfalls include picking overly complex subjects. Avoid jargon. Explain investment diversification as not putting all your eggs in one basket, like Rita did for new investors. Her relatable examples made finance accessible. What's your basket and eggs metaphor? Finally, validate your idea. Share it with a friend. Does their face light up? Revise based on feedback. Remember, a well-chosen topic sets the stage for everything that follows, like a blueprint for a house. Once you have it, structuring your talk becomes clearer and more purposeful. How might your hobbies intersect with audience needs? What everyday experience could become your signature story? Part 2. Structure that sticks. Imagine building a house without blueprints. Walls might lean, rooms could feel disconnected, and the structure wouldn't hold. Similarly, a talk without a clear framework confuses listeners. Your brilliant idea needs scaffolding. This section provides simple, powerful ways to organize your thoughts. You'll discover how classic structures turn scattered points into compelling journeys. Learn to hook your audience immediately, build your case logically, and end with impact. These methods ensure your message is understood and remembered long after you finish. Let's explore how to give your talk a strong backbone. Think of a talk like a train ride. Passengers need to know the destination, enjoy the scenery along the way, and arrive feeling satisfied. The 3-act structure accomplishes this. Act 1 introduces the setting and a challenge. Act 2 develops the struggle or exploration. Act 3 resolves it. Consider Ben, a nurse. He spoke about improving patient care. He opened with a tense story about a critical miscommunication, Act 1. Then, he detailed his team's trial and error process with a new handover system, Act 2. Finally, he showed data on reduced errors and shared a patient's grateful letter, Act 3. This clear arc kept everyone invested. What turning point defines your story? Another reliable approach is problem solution. Clearly define a pain point your audience recognizes, then present your answer. Demonstrate its effectiveness. Maya, a cybersecurity expert, used this. She began by stating, "Last year, small businesses lost over $3 billion to simple email scams." She described the fear and frustration problem. Next, she outlined her Verify, Don't Trust protocol, 3 specific steps anyone could implement immediately, solution. She finished with a local bakery owner who avoided a major scam using her method. This structure works because it addresses a shared need. What widespread problem does your knowledge solve? For journeys or histories, chronological order feels natural. Trace events step by step. Kofi shared his village's clean water project. He started with the daily hardship of fetching contaminated water, past, He explained the fundraising challenges and technical hurdles, middle. He concluded with children drinking safe water and school attendance rising, present, future. The key is not just listing dates, but highlighting pivotal moments. Why was each stage crucial? What almost made them quit? This builds suspense even when the outcome is known. Every strong start grabs attention within seconds. Pose a surprising question. What if your biggest weakness is actually your secret strength? Share a startling fact. In the time I speak, 1,000 plastic bottles entered our oceans. Or tell a micro story. 2 years ago, I stood frozen backstage, convinced I'd fail. Immediately state your core message. Today, I'll show how preparation conquers fear. Does your opening make listeners lean in? The middle develops your core ideas. Use signposting to guide your audience. First, let's understand the root cause. Second, here's the turning point. Most importantly, remember this. Like road signs, these phrases prevent listeners from getting lost. Support each point with brief examples or data. What key evidence supports your main argument? Endings must resonate. Briefly recap your main message. Then, issue a clear call to action. Try one conversation without your phone this week, or visit our website to join the cleanup. Leave them with a final image or thought. Imagine a classroom where every child feels heard. What action do you want your audience to take? Smooth transitions are the glue. Connect ideas with phrases like, "This led to," "What surprised us next," or read your draft aloud. Do ideas flow naturally, or do they jerk like a bumpy road? Polish those connections. A well-structured talk feels effortless to follow, but requires careful planning. Start your next talk by choosing one framework, 3-act, problem solution, or chronological, and build from there. How will you structure your message today? Part 3. Words that paint pictures. Consider how your words can transform a presentation from forgettable to unforgettable. When you paint pictures with language, your audience sees and feels your message. This section shows you how to use metaphors, analogies, and vivid descriptions to make complex ideas clear and memorable. You'll learn to awaken senses with specific details, balance creativity with precision, and replace jargon with relatable imagery. These techniques create sticky mental snapshots that linger long after your talk ends. How might your next presentation change if every listener could visualize your core idea? Words shape worlds. Instead of saying sales increased, describe the moment. When Ravi opened last month's report, he saw a jagged red line climbing like a mountain trail. This concrete image sticks. Metaphors act as bridges between new ideas and familiar experiences. Explaining cloud computing, say it's a library that delivers books to your doorstep instantly. Analogies work similarly. Facing a skeptical team about change, compare it to rewiring a house. It's messy and disruptive, but essential for safety and growth. What metaphor could clarify your next project? Sensory details anchor abstract concepts. Maya described her startup's growth. Our first office smelled of stale pizza and desperation. Now, coffee brewing mingles with printer hum in a space buzzing with new ideas. By invoking smell, sound, and emotion, she made progress visceral. Avoid vague adjectives like innovative or efficient. Show the innovation. Leo's design team cut assembly steps from 12 to 3. Workers now move like dancers, not robots. Jargon alienates. Translate synergistic paradigm shifts to teams finally talking, fixing old problems. When discussing data, don't say quantitative analysis. Try tracking complaints was like collecting raindrops. We found patterns revealing where our roof leaked. Balance creativity with clarity. One sentence can do both. Our cybersecurity isn't just a firewall, it's a bank vault with silent alarms. Watch Priya's before and after. Initially, she pitched her app saying it leverages AI for optimized user engagement. Blank stares followed. After reframing, she said, "Imagine a coffee shop owner who knows every customer's usual order before they speak. Our app learns preferences like that barista." Concrete, human, unforgettable. What jargon do you need to translate today? Structure provides the skeleton, but language gives it life. If your last section built a clear roadmap, this fills it with vivid landscapes. Next, we'll trim excess words to amplify impact. For now, test one technique. Describe your main point using a kitchen analogy. If it were a recipe, what ingredients would matter most? Part 4. The magic of simplicity. The most powerful ideas often come in the smallest packages. Think of the last talk that stuck with you. It probably had one clear message, expressed simply. In our noisy world, simplicity isn't just elegant, it's essential. This part shows you how to strip away the clutter and sharpen your core idea until it shines. You'll learn practical ways to edit your content, focus your message, and use repetition wisely. By mastering simplicity, your words will carry further, connect deeper, and be remembered longer. What's the one thing you want your audience to take away? Hold that thought. Vivid language paints pictures, but simplicity makes them unforgettable. After crafting rich descriptions, ask which details actually help your audience grasp the core idea. Cut anything that doesn't serve that goal. Take Leo, a climate scientist explaining ocean warming. His early drafts included complex data like thermal expansion coefficients. He replaced it with, "Imagine heating a pot of water. It rises. Our oceans are doing that on a massive scale." One clear image replaced jargon. Steve Jobs famously practiced this. When launching the iPod, he didn't describe its technical specs first. He said, "1,000 songs in your pocket." That phrase became iconic because it reduced complexity to human-scale value. Every time you add a statistic, story, or example, test it. If I remove this, does the main point collapse? If not, delete it. Repetition anchors key ideas. Dr. Ava, a pediatrician, gives talks on child nutrition. She noticed parents forgot details about vitamins and minerals, so she created a refrain: colorful plates, healthy weights. She repeated it when introducing food examples, showing growth charts and closing her talk. 6 months later, attendees still quoted it back to her. This mirrors TED speaker techniques. Identify your central truth and echo it like a drumbeat. Editing is where simplicity comes alive. First, write your full message. Then trim it by 30%. Next, read it aloud. Any sentence that feels awkward or redundant, cut or rephrase it. Finally, ask a friend outside your field, "What's my big idea in 10 words?" Their answer reveals your clarity. Ben, an architect, used this method for a city council pitch. His 20-minute presentation shrank to 12 minutes by removing niche construction terms. The result? Unanimous approval for his community-centered design. Simplicity builds confidence too. When you're not wrestling with complicated points, you speak more fluidly. Your audience relaxes because they're not straining to decode your words. What's one message you've overcomplicated recently? Try rewriting it for a 12-year-old. You'll discover clearer language instantly. Memorable phrases stick because they're simple, not simplistic. Think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" or Greta Thunberg's "Our House is on Fire." Both use everyday words to convey urgency. Craft your own by combining your core idea with a strong verb or metaphor. Lena, a financial advisor, transformed strategic asset allocation into "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." Her clients started making smarter investments because they finally understood the principle. In your next talk, pause after explaining a complex point. Ask yourself, could I say this in half the words? Often, less noise means more impact. Your audience will thank you and remember you. Chapter 3, Captivating Your Audience. Part 1, The Art of the First Impression. Those first seconds on stage are your golden window. What you do then shapes everything that follows. Imagine stepping up to speak, eyes turned toward you. In that moment, you're not just sharing information, you're building trust, sparking curiosity, and inviting listeners into your world. Get it right, and you have them leaning forward. Get it wrong, and you might spend the rest of your talk trying to win them back. This isn't about flashy gimmicks. It's about starting with clarity and human connection. You'll learn simple ways to open strong, avoid common missteps, and set a tone that makes your audience want to stay. Think about a speaker named Ben. He began a crucial project update by clicking to a dense slide filled with numbers. "As you can see," he mumbled, "Q3 metrics show variability." Within seconds, half the room was checking phones. Contrast this with Lena. At a community meeting, she started by holding up a worn-out pair of running shoes. "These carried me through my first marathon after losing my job," she said. "Today, I'll show how that same resilience fuels our new training program." Every listener was hooked. What made Lena's opening work? She offered a human moment, vulnerable, visual, and tied directly to her message. It built immediate credibility because it was real. Starting with a question can be equally powerful. Consider Diego, a safety trainer. Instead of listing rules, he asked, What's one thing in this room that could cause a serious injury in the next 5 minutes? Hands shot up. People pointed at cables, chairs, even the coffee urn. He had them thinking and participating before he'd stated his topic. A well-crafted question turns passive listeners into active partners. What simple question could frame your next big idea? Many speakers undermine themselves instantly. Avoid opening with apologies, "I'm not really a speaker," vague platitudes, "it's great to be here," or reading your title off the slide. Rosa, a brilliant engineer, once began by saying, "Sorry, this might be a bit dry." Her audience believed her before she'd even started. Nerves are normal, but confessing them up front erodes confidence. Instead, own your space. Stand still for 3 seconds, make eye contact with one friendly face, and begin. That pause signals control. Your opening words set the emotional tone for everything that follows. If you're discussing innovation, start with a short story about a surprising invention, like how Post-it notes emerged from a failed glue experiment. Talking about customer service? Share a 2-sentence snapshot of a client's problem your team solved. These snippets aren't fluff, they're proof. They show your message matters in the real world. Practice is your secret weapon. Before his TEDx talk, Amir recorded his first minute 20 times. He tested openings on friends, tweaking until it felt natural. His final version began with him imitating the frantic ring of an old phone. "That sound haunted my childhood," he laughed. "My dad ran a bakery, and every call meant another crisis." The audience laughed with him. They were invested. How would your message change if you practiced just your opening 10 times? Remember Ben, who lost his audience with data? He tried again. This time, he held up a broken clock. "This was our production line yesterday. Stopped," he said. "By noon, we fixed it. Here's how." Simple, visual, urgent. His team stayed engaged because he turned a problem into a story they could see. Your first impression isn't just about you. It's the doorway you build for others to walk through. Make it solid, make it inviting, and they'll follow where you lead. Part 2. Keeping them hooked. Now that you've captured attention with a strong start, the real challenge begins. Holding it. Think of your presentation as a journey where every step must invite your audience to walk alongside you. If they drift, your message fades. This section explores practical methods to maintain focus using stories, humor, questions, and adaptability. You'll learn to spot disengagement cues, adjust on the fly, and use pacing like a rhythm that keeps listeners leaning in. These aren't abstract theories. They're tested tactics from world-class speakers. By the end, you'll know how to turn passive listeners into active participants, ensuring your ideas stick long after you finish. Consider Ben's story about the broken clock. His visual opening hooked his team, but what kept them engaged? He followed with a 3-minute tale of the factory worker who discovered the issue, complete with dialogue and tension. Stories transform abstract points into emotional experiences. Clara, a climate scientist, once drowned her audience in data slides. Now she shares how a single farmer named Leo adapted to drought, weaving statistics into his struggle. Her talks leave audiences remembering Leo's resilience, not spreadsheets. What personal or professional story could make your next point unforgettable? Humor, when genuine, eases tension and rebuilds connection. Raj, a financial advisor, noticed eyes glazing during a pension talk. He paused, grinned, and said, "I know, pensions aren't exactly skydiving, but imagine retiring at 55 and finally learning to skydive." Light laughter refocused the room. Avoid forced jokes, instead, highlight relatable quirks. Elena, a software engineer, compared debugging code to finding a lost sock. Frustrating, but triumphant. When have you used everyday humor to clarify complexity? Questions are your secret weapon. Pose one every 5 to 7 minutes, even rhetorically. What would you do if this happened to you? Create silence where minds engage. For virtual talks, quick polls, raise your hand if, or chat prompts, type one word describing this challenge, prevent multitasking. After a surprise sales dip, tech leader Marcus asked his team, "Where would you look first for the leak?" Hands shot up, sparking dialogue. This shifts monologue to conversation. Watch your audience like a conversation. Slumped postures or silenced phones signal waning interest. Adapt instantly. Shorten a segment, skip to a story, or move physically. Trainer Liam saw yawns during a morning workshop. He abandoned his slides, stood near the window, and led a 2-minute stretching break with a joke about waking up our brains. Energy surged. Vary your delivery relentlessly. Speak faster for excitement, slower for gravity. Pause before key ideas. Silence amplifies impact. Shift positions. Walk left for a problem, right for the solution. Engineer Fatima described a product flaw in a near whisper, then boomed, "Now here's how we smashed it." Head snapped up. Sprinkle surprises. Reveal an unexpected fact. This solution cost less than a cup of coffee. Or flip a narrative. Nonprofit director Kai spent 10 minutes describing village hardships, then revealed, "This isn't rural India. It's an hour from your city." Gasps echoed. Such moments reignite curiosity. Pacing is your anchor. Rush and you overwhelm, drag and you bore. Practice aloud, timing sections. Cut content ruthlessly to keep momentum. Lawyer Dev timed courtroom arguments like a playlist. Intense bursts followed by calm explanations. His win rate soared. As you refine these skills, you'll notice how physical presence silently commands attention, a natural bridge to mastering body language. Part 3. Body language speaks. Your body tells a story before you speak. Consider how Maya, an environmental scientist, once presented groundbreaking data while slouched behind a podium. Her audience disengaged despite her brilliant research. Months later, she delivered the same content standing tall, making eye contact, and gesturing toward visuals. The result? A standing ovation. This transformation reveals how nonverbal cues shape audience perception more than words alone. Throughout this section, you'll discover practical techniques to align your physical presence with your message, turning nervous habits into tools of connection. By mastering these skills, you'll command attention, convey authority, and make every gesture amplify your ideas. Posture forms your foundation. Stand with feet shoulder-width apart, weight balanced evenly. When Lena, a startup founder, adopted this stance during investor pitches, she stopped swaying nervously. Her grounded presence made proposals seem more credible. Try it now. How does your posture change when feeling confident versus nervous? Notice the difference in your breathing and energy. Avoid rigid military posture. Flexible knees and relaxed shoulders appear approachable yet authoritative. Gestures should punctuate key points like visual exclamation marks. Carlos, a history teacher, struggled with stiff arms until he practiced descriptive motions, showing expansive empires with wide sweeps and critical turning points with sharp chops. Record yourself explaining a simple concept. Do your hands emphasize ideas or flutter aimlessly? Keep gestures between waist and shoulder height and let them flow naturally after sentences start. Forced movements look robotic. Facial expressions must match your message's emotional tone. When discussing layoffs, tech director Nia maintained appropriate solemnity rather than defaulting to her habitual smile. Her team trusted her sincerity. Micro-expressions matter too. Raised eyebrows show curiosity during questions. Subtle nods encourage participation. Practice in mirrors. Does your face reflect passion when discussing important topics? Movement across the stage signals topic transitions. Chef Omar marks recipe steps by advancing toward the audience, then resets near his demo station. Each shift coincides with new information, guiding attention. But avoid constant pacing. Plant feet during crucial statements. If using a podium, step beside it for personal stories. Ask yourself, where do you naturally move when excited about an idea? Channel that energy intentionally. Common pitfalls include closed postures, crossed arms create barriers, darting eyes, scan sections slowly, and fig leaf hands clasped low. Engineer Fatima eliminated pocket jingling by holding a textured token backstage. Her calm hands then emphasized technical schematics effectively. Remember, audiences mirror your physical state. Relaxed shoulders invite openness, while genuine smiles trigger reciprocal engagement. These techniques build unconscious rapport. Lawyer Kenji establishes immediate connection by mirroring an audience's posture during Q&A before gradually leading them toward more attentive positions. This subtle synchronization makes listeners feel understood. Your body isn't just a delivery system, it's your most persuasive visual aid. Part 4. The rhythm of your voice. Your voice is more than words. It's a powerful tool that shapes how your message lands. Imagine listening to a speaker who drones on in one flat tone. Now picture someone whose voice rises with excitement, drops for drama, and pauses for impact. Which holds your attention? This section explores how to harness your vocal instrument. You'll learn practical ways to vary pitch, volume, speed, and tone to keep listeners engaged. We'll cover eliminating filler words, using strategic pauses, and projecting clearly. With real examples and simple exercises, you'll discover how vocal dynamics transform presentations from forgettable to captivating. Consider pitch, the high and low notes of your voice. Speaking in a monotone makes audiences tune out, like a song with no melody. When software developer Arjun described a breakthrough, his pitch stayed flat. Listeners checked phones. After practicing, he raised pitch for discoveries. We found the solution and lowered it for gravity. This took 6 failed attempts. Heads lifted. What happens when you emphasize key points with pitch shifts? Volume controls intensity. Whispering draws people in. Projecting commands attention. Teacher Elena struggled with timid delivery. She practiced stating facts at medium volume, then booming conclusions. This changed our school. Her students started leaning forward, anticipating each reveal. Contrast works wonders. Try softening your voice when sharing vulnerable stories. Speed alters energy. Racing through content overwhelms, dragging bores. Chef Benoit timed his cooking demo. Rapid fire for prep steps, then slow, clear articulation for safety warnings. Knives stay pointed down. Attendees recalled 40% more tips. Pauses are your secret weapon. A 2-second silence before important lines builds anticipation. Nurse Fatima eliminated ums by pausing when transitioning between patient stats. Her calm clarity reduced call light requests by 30%. Where could intentional silence strengthen your message? Tone conveys emotion. A warm tone builds trust. A sharp tone signals urgency. Sales director Kaido used friendly tones for client stories, but switched to clipped direct tones for deadlines. Submit by Friday. His team's compliance rate jumped. Record yourself describing a rainbow. Does your tone reflect wonder? Breathing fuels projection. Stand with feet apart, hand on diaphragm. Breathe deeply through your nose 4 counts. Exhale through mouth 8 counts. Architect Lena did this before presenting blueprints. Without shouting, her voice carried across the construction site trailer. Try reading aloud outdoors. Aim your voice at a distant tree. Vocal warm-ups prevent strain. Hum scales, up, down, stretch your jaw like chewing gum, and recite tongue twisters. Red leather, yellow leather, 3 times fast. Engineer Omar does this pre-meeting. His colleagues now call him the human microphone. Bad habits creep in unnoticed. Marketer Priya recorded her pitch. Every like and basically stood out. She replaced them with pauses, making product features seem deliberate. Use your phone's recorder. What filler words hide in your speech? Mastering these skills creates magnetic delivery. When climate activist Diego varied his voice, softening for personal loss, thundering for calls to action, his TEDx talk went viral. Audiences remember how you speak as much as what you say. Your vocal toolkit turns information into experience. Chapter 4. Leaving a lasting impact. Part 1. The power of a memorable ending. Consider the last moments of a talk. They're like the final brushstrokes on a painting, what lingers longest in the audience's mind. Research shows people judge entire experiences heavily by how they conclude. This section reveals how to craft conclusions that resonate long after you've left the stage. You'll discover practical techniques for ending with purpose, ensuring your core message sticks, and transforming polite applause into genuine impact. Let's explore how to make your final words unforgettable. Imagine Clara finishing her presentation about sustainable farming. She ends with, "That's all I have? Any questions?" The energy drains from the room. Now picture her revised close. Remember little Maya from my opening story. Her future depends on soil health. Each of us can be like Farmer Ben, who regenerated his land. Start tomorrow. Plant 1 native species this week. Our children's harvest begins with your next seed. Which version stays with you? Endings anchor your entire message through psychological principles like the recency effect. Our brains prioritize final experiences. Powerful conclusions often circle back to the beginning. When tech founder Raj opened with his childhood struggle to afford eyeglasses, his closing showed villagers smiling in new glasses from his affordable lenses. This bookending creates satisfying closure. What opening story from your last talk could resurface meaningfully? Another approach. Distill your core message into one vivid phrase. Teacher Diego ended his workshop with, "Education isn't filling buckets but lighting fires." Such statements become mental bookmarks, Calls to action must be specific and achievable. Instead of support climate efforts, try text tree to 55555 by tonight to plant one native sapling. Notice the concrete action and deadline. What immediate step could your audience realistically take? Avoid summary fatigue. Rather than recapping points, show transformation. Lena demonstrated this when discussing communication skills. When we started, you worried about awkward pauses. Now you have the 3-second rule. Pause, breathe, then respond. That small shift changes everything. The strongest endings engage emotions while reinforcing logic. Consider environmentalist Kenji. My grandfather's fishing boat now sits rusting on barren shores. But this, he holds up a thriving coral fragment, grew from our reef project in 3 months. Your donation isn't charity, it's an investment with 100% natural returns. This blends personal narrative with tangible proof. What object or image could symbolize your message? Endings also manage audience attention. Signal closure verbally, in closing or physically by stepping forward. Maintain eye contact as you deliver your final lines, then pause before thanking. This prevents fumbling exits. Project manager Omar learned this after his first rushed ending. Now he concludes, "You've got the blueprint. Simplified workflows save teams 11 hours weekly." So Monday morning, gather your team and ask, what one repetitive task can we automate first? He then smiles silently for 3 seconds, creating resonant space. Your final words are the gift wrap around your entire presentation. They determine whether your ideas live beyond the room. What single thought do you want lingering when the applause fades? Part 2, Inspiring Action. Your presentation isn't just about sharing information. It's about sparking change. Think about the last time you were truly moved by a speaker. What made you want to act? This section shows you how to turn your words into a catalyst for action. You'll learn to connect with your audience on a deeper level, appealing to their core values, emotions, and logic. By the end, you'll know how to craft a clear, compelling call to action that motivates your listeners to think differently, adopt new behaviors, or champion your cause. Let's explore how to make your next talk truly transformative. Consider how Leo, a community health worker, struggled to get neighbors to attend free diabetes screenings. He used to list statistics about rising cases. Then he shared a photo of his niece learning to ride a bike, explaining how her type 1 diabetes diagnosis changed their family's life. "Her courage keeps her pedaling," Leo said, voice thickening. "Your 15-minute screening could give another child years of bike rides." That afternoon, 38 people signed up. Why did this work? Leo connected facts to universal values: family, safety, and hope. He made the invisible threat feel personal. Great speakers understand that decisions emerge from 3 intertwined roots: beliefs, feelings, and evidence. Environmental scientist Fatima used this triad when urging corporate leaders to reduce plastic waste. She showed mangled seabird autopsies, emotional, cited reusable packaging cost savings, logical, then asked, "What legacy do we want in the company's 50th anniversary video?" This appealed to their pride and reputation. Notice how she didn't say, "Consider sustainability." Instead, "Approve our bottle redesign plan by Friday." Specificity eliminates confusion. What measurable step could your audience take today? Effective calls to action share 5 traits. They're simple, urgent, achievable, beneficial, and tied to identity. Take bakery owner Ben. He wanted customers to buy his higher-priced sourdough. Rather than explaining fermentation science, he offered free slices with a tag. People who value craft over convenience choose the blue bag. Sales rose 70%. The phrase "people who value craft" linked the action to self-image. Could reframing your request around your listeners' identities make it stickier? Avoid vague directives like "help our cause." When literacy nonprofit leader Anya requested donations, she specified, "Sponsor one child's books for 26, exactly what I spent on coffee last month." She then displayed a live counter showing sponsored children. Transparency builds trust. Later, volunteers received photos of their child holding the donated books. This created closure. People saw their impact. How might showing immediate consequences strengthen your appeal? Even data-heavy topics benefit from human connection. Tech developer Rajiv needed engineers to adopt new security protocols. He didn't lead with compliance rules. He described a single phishing email that toppled a hospital's network during a critical surgery. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., he concluded, I'll show anyone who brings their laptop how to install our 5-minute shield. 78% attended. By focusing on protection rather than punishment, he made action feel empowering rather than obligatory. What emotion, if tapped, would make your audience lean forward? Timing matters immensely. Introduce your call only after establishing relevance. School principal Naomi learned this when proposing longer recess periods. Early in her talk, she revealed local pediatricians' findings about attention spans. Later, she asked teachers to try one 25-minute outdoor break Tuesday and share observations at our 3 p.m. huddle. The phased request felt manageable. Had she opened with the ask, resistance might have hardened. Are you building sufficient groundwork before making your request? Ultimately, inspiring action rests on understanding your audience's hidden questions. What's in this for me? And can I actually do this? Address both explicitly. Solar panel? Salesperson Diego does this by saying, you'll save $93 monthly based on your current bill, and we handle all permits while you relax. Then he hands out pre-addressed permit applications. Removing friction demonstrates respect for their time and capability. What single barrier could you eliminate for your listeners? Part 3. Learning from every talk. Every time you speak, you have a golden chance to grow. Think of your last talk. What went well, what didn't, and why. This part shows how to turn each speaking moment into a stepping stone. You'll learn simple ways to gather feedback, spot patterns, and fix small issues before they become big ones. We'll explore how top speakers review their performances without harsh judgment, discover how to bounce back from slip-ups, and celebrate tiny wins. The result? You become more confident and effective with every talk. Let's begin. After your talk ends, the real work starts. Imagine Kaido, a project manager who just presented quarterly results. He felt his closing fell flat. Instead of brushing it off, he asked 2 colleagues, "What one thing could make my ending stronger next time?" One noticed he rushed the summary. Another suggested pausing before his final point. Kaido wrote this down immediately, while memory was fresh. What feedback question could you prepare for your next talk? Top speakers treat feedback like a toolbox, not a report card. TED presenter Lynn once forgot a key statistic mid-talk. She recovered by saying, "Let me circle back. This number matters." Later, she watched her recording and spotted a pattern. She stumbled during data-heavy sections. Now she rehearses those parts twice as long. Try recording your next practice session. Where do you pause or rush? Small adjustments here prevent big problems later. Mistakes aren't failures. They're free lessons. Comedian Hassan Minhaj once tripped on stage. He turned it into a joke. "I wanted to fall for this audience." The crowd laughed with him. When your voice cracks or slide glitches, pause, smile, and keep going. Audiences remember recovery more than errors. Last month, teacher Elena mixed up dates during a parent presentation. She said, "My brain's faster than my notes. Let me correct that." Parents later praised her honesty. Could a stumble actually build trust? Build resilience through tiny celebrations. After any talk, even rocky ones, note 3 wins. Did you make eye contact? Start on time? Explain a complex idea simply? Chef Marco does this religiously. His first cooking demo had burnt sauce, but he celebrated projecting his voice to the back row. Progress compounds. Better gestures today lead to smoother stories next month. What small win from your last talk deserves recognition? Growth thrives on patterns, not perfection. Sales director Naya keeps a speaking journal. After each client pitch, she writes 1 strength, 1 area to improve, and 1 surprise. E.g., they asked unexpected questions about pricing. Over 6 months, she saw trends. She excelled at stories, but needed clearer pricing transitions. Now she practices those specifically. You don't need grand changes. What's 1 recurring hiccup you could tackle? Persistence pays more than talent. Author Margaret Atwood bombed early readings with monotone delivery. She improved by joining poetry slams, where immediate crowd reactions taught her pacing. Find low-pressure spots to practice, team meetings, community groups, even video blogs. Each effort builds muscle memory. Remember Diego from earlier? He now records permit application explanations for new hires, turning daily tasks into practice. Where could you speak off-Broadway this week? View every talk as an experiment. TED curator Chris Anderson watches his old talks to spot dated phrases or stiff gestures. He tweaks 1 element per speech. like adding silence after big ideas. You might test holding eye contact for 3 seconds, or starting with a question instead of a fact. Small, measurable tweaks make growth visible. What microscopic change will you try next time? This continuous loop, prepare, speak, reflect, builds lasting confidence. Progress might feel slow, but each talk adds bricks to your foundation. Soon you'll spot opportunities where others see risks. And that journey never truly ends. Part 4. Your speaking journey continues. Consider your last talk a stepping stone, not a finish line. Public speaking thrives on momentum. Each presentation builds toward the next. When Leo shared his tech innovation at a small meetup, an audience member invited him to a regional conference. That led to podcast interviews and workshop requests. Opportunities often hide in plain sight. Volunteer for team briefings at work, propose topics to community groups, or submit to industry events. Track these chances in a simple spreadsheet. Date, event type, topic. How many doors could you open by speaking quarterly? Surround yourself with fellow speakers. Nina joined an online forum where members share honest feedback. Within months, she transformed her stiff delivery into natural storytelling. Groups like Toastmasters offer safe spaces to experiment. Try a new opening technique or audience interaction method. These communities provide accountability too. When Raj felt discouraged after a poorly received talk, his peer group helped him refine his message. They celebrated when he later won a local speaking contest. Who could become your sounding board? Set evolving goals. After her first keynote, Anya aimed to speak internationally within 2 years. She broke this into steps. First, submit to 3 virtual summits, then pitch European conferences. Record your talks to spot patterns. Maybe you consistently rush conclusions or avoid audience questions. Pair this with targeted skill building. If transitions feel awkward, study how experts like Brené Brown link ideas seamlessly. What specific weakness could you improve this season? Seek guidance from experienced speakers. Carlos approached a mentor whose storytelling he admired. Their monthly coffee chats helped him structure complex data into relatable narratives. Many professionals gladly share insights. Ask specific questions like, how would you simplify this technical point? Or, where did I lose engagement? Learn by observing others too. Notice how compelling speakers use pauses, vary vocal tones, or handle tough questions. Which speaker's style resonates with you personally? The long-term rewards extend far beyond the stage. Regular speaking sharpens critical thinking. You'll communicate ideas more clearly in emails and meetings too. Professionally, it establishes authority. Omar's consistent conference appearances led to consulting offers and a promotion. Personally, each talk builds resilience. When Sophia forgot a segment mid-presentation, she improvised and later realized audiences rarely notice small stumbles. This confidence spills into daily life, making difficult conversations easier. Remember, growth isn't linear. Some talks will electrify rooms, others teach humility. Both move you forward. What legacy could your voice create over time?